So we're the guys from Denmark, and we're happy to be here. And this will be in English. I hope that you know that, because we're not that
fluent in German yet.
Not yet. Yes. So you have seen the introduction that we have been writing in the program. So our ambitions are to have students who can innovate, have a great application-oriented knowledge of modern technologies, and therefore can offer solutions to the problems of the real world. And who wouldn't like to do that? So we have some suggestions on how we work, and we hope that you can have use of that.
Precisely.
I'm Tina Marker, and I'm head of schools and the school department in this municipality.
And I am Jesper Drachman. I am a consultant within the school department, and I am also responsible for the place that we're sitting in right now, which is called TechX, which is something that we'll go through during the brief talk we have here.
You will hear much more about that.
Very much.
It's a very fantastic place that mostly Jesper and a lot of other guys have created. This is Denmark, and you can see now Rødovre Municipality, where we are sitting at. It's a small municipality. We'll come back to that. Yeah. That is just so that you have some knowledge
of where we are. So if you take Copenhagen, it's right on the outskirts of Copenhagen. So it's a part of the greater Copenhagen, which is about 1 million inhabitants. So
yes, and this is a map over our municipality and how many citizens and so on. And there are 6 public schools, and we'll get back to what a public school are in Denmark, because it's a little bit different. And we have about 600 teachers and pedagogues, around 4,000 students in the age of 6 to 16. And we're growing, so we're getting more and more students.
Yes.
That's nice. And we don't know if you know anything at all about our municipality structure. So we just drew some point lines so that you have some kind of feeling of how we work in Denmark. Because we know that you're working with this, and we know that the money to work with this comes from a different kind of public decision makers. I don't know what you call it. But this is how we work. So we have this parliament with our prime minister, and we have an educational minister, and then we have the municipalities. 98 municipalities in Denmark. And we work in a municipality.
Exactly.
A small one. It has a municipality board and, of course, a mayor. And we're part of a department called Children and Culture Department. And beneath that, there's the school department, which is our kind of business.
And one of the reasons why this is important is because what we are about to tell you today has been funded in the municipality alone. It's not funded through external resources or private companies. This is done within your municipality. That's why this is so important to
have knowledge.
To have knowledge about. Yes.
Or we think it's important for you to know. So we know that you can ask questions afterwards. So please write down if anything sounds odd or you don't know what we're talking about. So this is the Danish school system. And Jesper managed to find
one that was translated into German.
Yeah, so that's maybe some of you can gain more from that. But it's just to tell you how our system works. And the green big figure in the middle is the students that we work with. So we work with the kids in some kind of forschool class, you would call it, I guess.
Kindergarten forschool class, yeah.
Yeah. And afterwards we have from the first graders to the 10th graders. That's from 6 years old to 16 years old.
16, yes. And from that point on, they can split into different directions. And then again, after that, you have university and things like that. And I think much of that is probably the same in German, but the basic understanding that is really important is that we have the students together in one class from their 6 to 15, 16, and then they're together in one bunch. I think that's also very important to understand. So it's a lot of years that these kids are together, and you know, they're growing up to be fantastic human beings. But they do that together, and I think that's also very important. Yes. So one of the reasons why Tina and I are sitting here is because of the we call it technology and innovation. Well, I'll get into that later. But there are many different kinds of areas out there which in the future are looking at to become extinct. Some of these areas are written on this this PowerPoint, being transport, financial sectors, and health sectors. These are quite possibly gonna go extinct at some point due to automation, IoT, and different kinds of modern technology being a part of becoming a larger part of our society. And we had a mayor back it's about 4 years ago who was on a trip to Silicon Valley, and he saw what was going on over there and came back with a completely new approach to how we should help our kids develop more understanding of this field. So, for example, if you take the right graph, which is about how many retailers out there that are planning over this current year, from 2020 to 2021, to invest in solutions like IoT for data gathering. We've been to a study trip to Munich, where we, amongst other things, saw at IBM how IBM uses IoT and big data for their infrastructure in their own buildings. So this is one of the main reasons why we want to have the kids that are at a lower age to start working and understanding the future and the society that surrounds them.
And we want them to have once.
So what this calls for is a different, it's a bit of a different approach in terms to looking at the skill set that our kids for the future need. So it's more based on some of you might know this the term 21st century skills. So it's more of it's personal competencies that are being sought after. So this is crucial to understanding the field that we try to work with all our kids in our school system. I'm not going to go into details about the 21st century skills. You should definitely look it up if you don't know it. But other than that, I think most people in the school industry knows about the 21st century skill. But these are skill sets that are crucial for the work that we do and how we strategically try to work into the curriculum that we have.
And at the bottom line, you see that it says lifelong learning. So that's also a very ambitious vision, but that is what we aim for every day, that our kids want to learn. That's the most important skill, that you have the eager to learn every day. Some schools, and I think that you also could recognize that when the school kids start at school, they're very eager and want to learn and very curious about everything. And when they leave the schools, it's not the same picture. And we want to change that.
Yeah.
Every student should be eager to learn every day.
Yeah, throughout their school. So in Denmark, we have a national, sorry, let me just move this. We have a national, what do you call that? A national
vision?
Vision,
or
yes.
Ambition.
Yeah. So that's called technological literacy. I think that's the best translation into English. But in Rødovre, we're working with technology and innovation, as we spoke about before, and it's been politically approved in the municipality board and has its own set of, not rules, but own set of curriculum that was unanimously approved in this municipality. And this is important also because it's not on a national level yet. So we are about 4 years ahead of the national agenda, which is also a bit important, and probably also one of the reasons why we're sitting here. So in all, it's the basic foundation of this subject is that it's a dimension. It's something that we want all our kids to feel and work with from the age of 6 to 16. It's also something that our teachers need to take in and try to make a part of their everyday teaching. Then we have for the kids between 12 and 15, it's a specific subject. That means that there will be allocated more teaching resources for those kids, for those students, in terms of that they have given more possibilities to work with technology innovation in their everyday. And basically, the framework of this particular subject is that it's 6 pillars. It's digital literacy, and innovation, creativity, and production, computational thinking, programming, systems, and network. And if you're really good at Danish, I'll show you the website later. But you can translate that if you want, and take a deep dive into the competencies that are actually derived from that. But these are like 3 years old by now, probably, and it's still very dynamic. And it's also important to understand that this particular curriculum is also supposed to be constantly evolving to the real world. So this is 3 years old by now, and we're already seeing minor changes here and there.
So you can see from this that every teacher is obligated to work with technology and innovation. It's not something that I wish for, or so it's a political decision that everyone should work with this, and every student should feel that they work with this or have learning experiences working with this.
And for example, today we're gonna talk about TechX, which is the foundation where some of these teachings can happen. But today we have 3 classes in the house from 3 different schools. One class comes here with Danish as a subject, another with math, a third one with I can't even recall it, but it's different kinds of subjects, and it's not technology innovation, but technology innovation binds them together where we're sitting and why they're visiting this school today.
So all the kids, I don't know what it's like in Germany right now, but all the kids in Denmark are back at school, and that's why still back at school.
Yeah,
been since April.
So we're talking a lot about a new culture of learning. There's a traditional culture where you have the basic knowledge transfer between teacher and student, and there's also the thought about failing is bad. You want to succeed. You want to follow the orders of the teacher. You want to learn in a class where it's one to many. The teacher teaches a big class, and then you're studying alone, and it's a linear solution. This is very, I know this is very boxed in, but there's a linear solution, and there's only one of them. That's kind of the traditional way of looking at teaching. So some of the things that we want to
talk about it like a fixed mindset.
Exactly, like a fixed mindset. So what we want to encourage even more is that we let the kids construct their own knowledge, and have working towards a growth mindset, and that learning can happen 24/7. So that means that when they come back home, there could still be learning opportunities with their parents or with their siblings or their grandparents.
Or their classmates
or
in
their
their
classmates.
spare time.
Yeah. And and then that let the learning define the problem and not give them the problem at first, and then having different solutions to problems, and being, as a teacher, being open to the fact that there as if there's 24 kids in the classroom, there could be 24 solutions to a given problem. Yeah, this internet clicker, here we go. Yeah.
Yes, and now we're going to talk a little bit about TechX, and we're looking at the time because we only have half an hour, and we also already have used half of it. So TechX supports all of our schools in Rødovre Municipality. So you can see at the map that it's placed some kind of
roughly in the middle.
Roughly in the middle, yeah. It's open daily. It's open from 8 till 5 p.m. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it supports both students, teachers, the whole organization. We're trying to build capacity so that they can go out and work with it out of the schools. They always have to prepare before arriving TechX, so they prepare back at the school. They work with some kind of stuff here. For example, some kind of material stuff that they have to produce, and then they go back to the school and
do whatever
and continue and follow up.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you will see some examples. Jesper will present it to you.
Yes.
Right after this, but it's kind of epicenter for technology and innovation, and it's from here that everything new is evolved. And the teachers is in some kind of network meeting here, and trying out new stuff, leaning on one another to dare to take the next step. And
teaching each other through peer-based learning, because when you work with technology, you have different kinds of, every person has their own expertise, you could say. And that's very important to understand that when we work on this. And then also important that this place has different tiers of technology, production technology. That's also important to understand when I show the pictures in a bit, because we have production technology at the schools as well, but it synergizes with this place. So yes. Yeah, and then when we have kids at TechX, it's also important that that it's never an ordinary classroom. So TechX doesn't look like an ordinary classroom, I think, and that's
it has been one of the most beautiful things we have done with this place, because it really does not look like an ordinary classroom, and the kids are not using it as an ordinary classroom, so they will be lying underneath tables and sitting on
the tables or
doing other kind of stuff, and it's legal to do that.
Exactly. So just very quickly, it's the original idea behind TechX was the way that it's formed. It was through the European School Network and Future Classroom Lab, where they're talking a lot about the different kinds of zones, both in terms of technology, but also in terms of presentation and where you can go and investigate or develop your prototype, stuff like that. And that was the original idea, but how we built it. Today it's a lot more, but if you're only starting out with maker spaces in the school, I strongly encourage you to look up some of the texts regarding Future Classroom Lab, because it's a great way to get started. But let's look at what it's really about. So these are just images from yesterday. I just put them up here. So you see various technologies, no kids because GDPR. so it's very important. But these are just a few images from the school. So you see on the top left side, you have CNC production machines. We have 3D printers. A lot of them is like we have 30. So each student in a class can come in and do 3D printing and get to know what a 3D printer is, and materials like Lego is used for prototyping, but I'm gonna go more into detail about that. And the small room where you can see all the lights, that's actually where we're sitting right now here. So this is the streaming podcast room, which we kind of also have improved a lot because of Corona.
And before you think, oh my God, we don't have that, so we're never going to work with technology and innovation, we're going to come back to what we think that you can start out with.
Exactly.
So don't think, okay, that's nothing for me, and all they're saying is about technology, because we also work with technology with the approach that we have to be behind it. The students have to be in control of it. So it's not just technology for just having technology, but how to use it.
Exactly. And that's very, very important, for sure. So pretty much all of the machines that I've shown you before can be run by students that are visiting, except for the CNC machines. That's another story. But
an adult machine.
Yeah, but kids produce and design things that can go into the CNC machine, because it's the closest we get to industry level machines in the place. But yeah, I've let this scan me code stay there for a second. So if you have a mobile phone and you have a QR scanner, or if you have one of the new phones which automatically just converts it, it should be a link directly to a virtual guide through TechX, which is something we also made due to Corona, because usually we've been having a lot of visitors, and we kind of wanted to still encourage people to seek the knowledge even though we had Corona. So this is a guide of the place back in February 2020, and it doesn't necessarily look like that anymore. For example, the room that we're sitting in has changed a lot. But if you go to the website as well, techx.dk, you can seek more information. I know it's in Danish, but Google is a very good translator. So if you have any more information you want to look at, you can always visit the website. And the virtual tour is great. So you should definitely try that out with your mobile phone.
And it's actually a purpose that we want to change the room all the time, so that TechX does not become a museum in a few years, because technology is always changing. So what we buy today will be something new tomorrow, and we try to always be on our toes.
Yeah. So working with our teachers and students, one of the things that because this is year 3 that we're working, one of the things that was very important for us in year 3 was to start up we're calling it a cross-curriculum courses common thread. I'm not sure what the German word for this is, but this is exemplary courses that our teachers and students can try and test out. And behind this is it's sort of like a ladder for our children, for our students to get to test out different kinds of technology. So for example, in the youngest kids that are sixth grade, they might be working with, in this case, they're working with programming. They're programming small bbots, and this is all material that was created at TechX. So the mats that they're using, the small coding arrows on the left-hand side is we call it analog coding. And then they transfer that to the small robot, and these are 6 kids of 6 years old who are just playing on the floor and having a laugh, but they're actually learning to come to understanding the base concept of coding. And then the next step would be that they're creating their own material, and then so on and so forth. And for our 4th graders, they would be 10 years old, this is another example. We're working with insects and
insect superpowers.
Exactly, it's called superpowers. So every insect, like ants, can carry 100 times their own weight. So here we have them play a game where they have to sort of come to finalize where they build their own insects, like the super insect. And then, as you can see, there are examples of them building them first in Lego, and then they have to transfer that figure into a 3-dimensional figure, and then it needs to be printed. So here we go from idea to prototype to finished product in a 3-dimensional in 3D. And then it's printed to have a physical object. So you go through the whole process, and this is for a 10-year-old.
Yeah, and it's still important to say that we're working in the subject of science, so they are still learning about insects, and that's also the most important thing. So working with technology and innovation is just complementing.
Yeah, and then we have the older students, for example, that go through a design phase where they have to build like lamps. So you have Danish architecture, Danish furniture design is something that's very crucial for our kids also to learn. And here they go through a complete process where they design their own lamps. And our older students, they work with urban gardening and the whole process behind the chemistry behind the perfect
environment.
Yeah.
Or something.
So for all this, I think it's very important to see how this is all happening. So TechX is where we're sitting, and I'm part of the daily staff that kind of supports this. But all our schools have teachers that have allocated resources to work with technology innovation, and these teachers go into a team. We call it Team X. And they meet every Friday. So we have a lot of communications between our schools and our teachers that are working with this particular subject. And then on top of that, we have a network where some of these teachers are represented alongside their
some of the leaders.
Leaders, yes. And then on top of that, Tina has a network with the principals of the schools where there's also communications in this. And then on a side, we have student network. We have kids coming in and having praktik. I'm not sure what it's called. Interns. That's called it. Interns, who get to come and help and test it out. And this is the support structure that kind of, because this is not a one-man army thing. I think that's very important to understand. So with our 6 schools, we have approximately, I don't know, 15, 16 people that are actually building the curriculum and helping out in common. And I think that's very important.
So some of you can see that in this template, there's not only 6, but 8 schools. So we have 6 public schools, and we have a school for special young people with special needs.
Yeah.
And
physical disabilities.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So we're actually working with 8 of the schools.
Yes.
And time is flying.
Yes.
So we're
at the end. We're in good time. We got 2 minutes.
Yeah. So we know, as I said before, that this is a privilege, that we're very lucky that we have the municipality who support us, and which are able to try out some stuff. If you're not that lucky, and we know that you're on your way in Germany, and we would like to share all that we can, please use the website, because it's really open source thinking behind that. If we should give our advice, not in technology, but please have some of your teachers being super users, so that they can be 1 step or 2 steps before the rest of the group, and always can ask for some advice, because almost every teachers I know wants to have
a tiny bit of control.
A tiny bit of control, yeah.
Yes.
So stepping into this, not knowing anything, it's quite hard. So how can we support them? We can send them to have some courses, but it's difficult in our everyday teaching. So please have some super users that can support them in the daily life.
Yeah. And then we've focused a lot about trying to have these activities that our teachers, as I said, we talked about before, we have about 600 pedagogues and teachers. So it's also important to have activities that they can look at and reflect which they can personalize into their own teaching area.
So they don't start from scratch,
Yes.
but you have something, a fundament, and then you can build from that.
Yes.
And also invest in the organization, investing in having networks, in building a support structure, as we have written.
Yes. And then the different tiers of technology is also important, because you can buy yourself poor really quick, and a little can actually go a long way. Technology can also be Lego, and I think a lot of kids have Lego at home. So and Lego is a fantastic tool for prototyping.
It's a Danish product, so now we're promoting.
So now we're endorsing. Go to lego.com. No. No. But the different tiers of technology is important. Like, for example, if you work with making sticker machines, there's like, in this house we have 3 different tiers of sticker machines, and the smallest ones are usable by the 6-year-olds, but also the 16-year-olds, and they don't cost a lot, and that's a first tier, if you can say that, and you can actually do a lot with it, and then you can build on top of that. And same goes for pretty much all other technology. Same goes for 3D printers and things like that. So I think it's important to understand that a little can go a long way in terms of when you're trying it out.
Isn't the same things?
Thank you.
We're finished.
Are we finished?
Thank you very much for your experiences. It's a very extraordinary project, I think, and we have some questions for you.
Great.
The first is, who owns TechX, and who pays for it? So how is it financed?
It's financed by the municipality, by the politicians. Yeah. So they decide what kind of economy we should set aside to this, and it's in a public building. So it's publicly run. I think that's very important to understand. As we spoke about before, it's not private funding. It's public funding. So it supports the public schools that are in the municipality. So it's publicly funded, publicly run.
And is there some kind of technical leader to the project, so that you have one special person who is supervising all those teachers coming to TechX and everything?
He's sitting right next to me.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. All right.
He's the one with the superpowers.
And did we get it right? So every teacher, no matter what subject you usually are doing, can come to TechX and become like a super user in a way, right?
Yeah, we have super users at every school, and then every teacher can come to TechX and use it. But they will always have the possibility of getting support from our super users.
And we have workshops.
Is someone from TechX?
No, the super users are at the school.
It's a special teacher who has some extra hours to help and support at both the school, and also go along with the teachers and the classes to TechX.
And these super users are also part of TechX. I think that's important to understand. So they're a part of the school at home, but they're also a part of TechX. And then we have workshops. Yeah, sorry.
Do you need any special education to become this kind of super user? So do you need to be a math teacher? Do you need some degree in, I don't know, technology, something like that? Or can you also be a Danish teacher, for example, to become such a super user?
Yes, what we're seeing is that it's important to have a teaching background, because a lot of, the interaction between the kids, it's very, very important. So basically, everybody can become a super user. There is no limits to that, and that's one of the reasons why we run workshops for Danish teachers, math teachers, history teachers, religion teachers. Doesn't matter.
But we have also trained the super users in these competencies.
Yeah, and the super users are at TechX every Friday. And sorry, it's just the feedback. And that's they're here every Friday, where we do training and where we test out technology, and we there's a lot of reflection going on about what works with the kids and what doesn't work. And I think that's also important to understand, because these meetings happen between the schools, and that's something that's
sharing the knowledge,
yeah,
experimenting along with each other.
Yeah, but it's not normal for municipalities to have the teachers meet across the schools. And I think that's important to understand, that this is also something new that we have managed to implement.
And I'm not sure if I got it right, and there's a question from the audience as well. Is it normal that all municipalities have or will have such a house like TechX?
No, it's not normal. And that's why we said that we know we're very privileged.
Yeah.
I don't think that there are few municipalities in Denmark that have something similar to our.
I know you could look at Fab Labs, you can look at maker spaces. I know you guys have that in Germany as well. And there is a movement in Denmark right now to have more municipalities develop the same as we have here in Rødovre Municipality. That's also one of the reasons why we've had a lot of visitors from the other municipalities, because they're trying to build some of the same things as we are here, because it will be a part of the national curriculum in
a few years.
In a few years, 1 to 2 years. So there are private funds out there that are supporting municipalities in trying to build these things. So we will see more of these in Denmark.
So if municipality would like to start to go new ways in terms of technology and innovation, what would you recommend to do?
Start small if you don't have a lot of money, or reach out to a fund if you want to go a little bit higher. But please work with the human structure before working with buying all kind of stuff, because that can also be standing in some corner of a room.
Yeah, it's very important not to go out and buy a lot of technical equipment and then figure out who needs to work with it. I think that's one of the most fundamental errors that a lot of schools and municipalities do. It's very important to have it's not a human resource, but have the support structures. Make sure that you have teachers and a managers, maybe a principal even, to take part in the development group that wants to focus on this. So you can work with it strategically.
You have to have some teachers, managers, leaders, principals, whatever. And if you can, have some politicians support it, but they have to be able to see the possibilities in it.
Yeah. And there are many free resources out there on the internet where you can actually work with, for example, coding. And a lot of schools have already had different kinds of production facilities at the schools, which then can be combined. And that's a new way of also looking at and using the things that are already at the schools. And that's also some of the things that's important, because what we have here at TechX, it looks like a makerspace, but it's more than that now. But if you take a look at the makerspace, you see a lot of these things that are there actually are present at a lot of the schools already. So I think that's also important to understand.
And is there any possibility for the students to come to TechX even when they're not with their schools, to check out some stuff, to create something?
We're working on that so that they can come in their spare time. Yeah. But we wanted this to be a success at first. So we were given a job by our politicians. You have to do this in all of the schools, and you have to build it like this, or some kind of frame in this. And now we see possibilities in doing something more.
Yeah. But we have small activities where we've been testing out how to make it work, and we have different courses. On Thursdays, there's a what's it called? Escape room. it's called. So TechX becomes an escape room where the kids have to build different kinds of areas inside the escape room, and then they need to break out of each other's escape rooms. So that's one way that it's transforming on Thursdays, for example.
We also have been trying out during the summer holidays, for example, inviting kids who are not that lucky to be with their families on vacations or stuff like that, that they can come here and been working for a week or something.
Yeah. So, and then we have interns. Yeah.
So, but for now, we have a very special situation, and maybe schools will be closed again. So how was it for you? Could you keep up the creative learning methods you have at TechX during the periods of distance learning as well?
I think that because we have been working with this for quite a long time, our teachers and our students their mindsets are fixed on this. So they know what to do. We had to reorganize some things, but you will also be able to see at our TechX page that we have been working with some other stuff during that period, because the mindset is there.
Yeah. So the only difference is really is you take the physical part out. So maybe you don't get to 3D print it, but you can still go through the crafting process. A lot of this can actually happen digitally through Teams where. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's very important to understand. And that's some of the things that we've been trying to teach as well, of how to use an online platform to still be creative and create things that just happens at home, and then presenting it on like here I'm presenting this as my prototype which I built at home with whatever materials I had, for example. And a lot of this can happen even through Corona and lockdowns.
I have two last questions left, which is how do you involve the students in the process of redesigning the space? Because you said TEDx shouldn't be a museum in a few years.
That's a great question, and that's something that happens pretty much every day, because it happens through the conversations between teachers and the students. So, for example, one of the big things that we're changing is we want to have more prototype material. So we want to endorse bæredygtighed. I have a Danish word in my head. Sorry.
I can't remember.
Recycling. You can call it recycling. Recycling is fine. It's one of the UN goals I saw one of the presentations earlier. But we wanted the kids to be able to recycle more and use recycled materials, and use recycled toys to build prototypes. And that's something that we want to encourage you more. So that's so one of the rooms will be slowly changed into like a recycling room, if you can call it that, where the kids are helping out to build it. But it's something that happens pretty much every day in the conversations between the students, even though they're 6 or 16. And I think that's very important.
So the rooms are also not finished, if you know what I mean. So when you go into it, you can see that all kind of stuff is going on, and it appeals to the students, so that they can say, oh, I can build on that, and I can work with that.
Yeah.
And they...
And for example, we have lamps hanging all over TechX. Those are student products. So everything will be displayed. Everything is open. Yeah.
Since we're running out of time, just a very quick answer, please, to my last question, which is there any evaluation on how far students actually benefit from those kind of settings at TechX?
A quick question, quick answer. There are many different evaluations. Of course, there's always sub-evaluations. We have also partnered with a university in terms of looking at evaluation on the whole technology innovation.
So they're researching for us.
Yeah, they're researching, and but evaluation is always a crucial part of every activity. So evaluation can also be, you present something, you get feedback from that, and from that you can redevelop. So evaluation or feedback is something that is crucial for working with this field, because that's how you develop
the next steps.
Next steps. So evaluation and feedback is crucial as a core part of what we work with.
So Tina and Jasper, thank you very much for taking us to TEDx in a virtual way and for sharing your experiences.